Hey guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I want to present the new British Tier 9 wheeled medium tank, the GSOR 1006-7. How good is this tank and can it compete against regular medium tanks on its tier? Let's find out in this video. GSOR 1006-7 in a nutshell. You get a relatively fast medium tank with a relatively precise gun, mediocre spotting ability and average 390 alpha damage. The biggest drawback of this tank is the very poor tank traverse, which really makes this tank feel sluggish when it comes to mobility. Now take a look what happens if your wheels get damaged. So if one wheel is hit by the adversary tank, then your tank becomes a really slow tank. So the fact that this tank has wheels instead of tracks actually doesn't give this tank any advantage whatsoever. It is more a hindrance compared to other tanks, and so in my opinion this whole mechanics is questionable. So the question that arises is, can this tank compete against the stars on tier 9? And so I want to compare this tank to the Centurion 7-1, so to its brother on tier 9, to the Leopard PTA, to the AMX-30 and the SHAR Future 4. Why did I select those tanks? Well, in my opinion, the Centurion 7-1 has a comparable gun handling, at least that was my experience that I had during my games. If you want to get a superb sniping tank, then you choose the Leopard PTA on tier 9. So if this tank wants to compete as a sniping tank, then it needs to compete against the Leopard PTA. If this tank wants to be a perfect versatile tank, then it certainly needs to compare to the against the AMX-30. Plus the star on tier 9 for me is the SHAR Future 4. So how does it stack up against those tanks? Well, firepower wise, you can see this tank has a significantly worse DPM compared to most of the other tanks. Not compared to the SHAR Future 4, but this tank is a 4-shot auto-loading tank. So yeah, the damage output of this tank is significantly lower compared to all the other tier 9 tanks. When it comes to gun handling, as you can see, this tank has the best gun handling. However, the difference is not too much. So 1.82 seconds is not so much different to 1.92, but then also not to 2.21 in my opinion. It doesn't feel significantly better. Now when it comes to the dispersion values, 0.10 is pretty nice. However, 0.12 is pretty nice as well, and also 0.14 on the AMX-30. So this tank has the best gun handling, plus it has some sniping capabilities, or snapshot capabilities I should say, but this is also true for some of the other tier 9 tanks. When it comes to mobility, this tank once again has the best mobility. However, it is only ever so slightly better compared to other tanks. Of course, better than the Centurion 7-1, but this tank actually packs some significant armor, which lets you play aggressively and which gives you the chance of dominating other tanks on a ridgeline because it is a hull-down monster. Now, compared to the Leopard PTA, this mobility is not you know, it's nothing out of the ordinary. Yes, the power to weight ratio is a little bit better, but if you take a look at the AMX-30, the mobility is actually comparable. Plus the AMX has the much better DPM, plus it has the much better armor, which really lets you bounce one or another shot. And then even the SHAR Future 4 has a comparable, if not better, mobility due to the better terrain resistance values. So the mobility is good, maybe a tiny touch better to other tanks, but it doesn't, let's say, it doesn't stack up against the qualities of the other tanks. Armor wise, this tank has the worst armor, even against the tank like the Leopard PTA. Hit points wise, it has the lowest amount of hit points. And if you take a look at the camo values and the view range, this tank has by far the worst spotting ability. The stationary camo is a bit better, only a tiny touch better than compared to the Centurion 7.1, but the view range is significantly worse. And if you take a look at the rest of the tanks, well, those tanks are by far the better spotters compared to the GSOR 1006. So reduced damage output compared to the other tanks, no armor whatsoever, so you are not able to play aggressively, not on a ridgeline like with the Centurion 7.1, not like in general, as compared to the AMX-30. Plus you do not have the autoloader clip potential, which lets you play aggressively like in the Char Future 4. Gun handling is a tiny touch better, but then there's really no significant advantage on this tank compared to the rest of the tier 9 tanks. So the question arises, how does this tank need to be played? How do I want to play this tank? What is the niche of this tank? And here's my solution. So I, for the first time, took mobility improvement system tier 3 on a tank in order to increase the gun handling as well as the mobility, and I think it is a good trade-off and a good system compared to the, or good equipment compared to the turbo on this tank. Furthermore, I play this tank with vertical stabilizer because without playing it, I felt the gun handling was a bit lackluster, so I really tried to make a snapshot tank out of this vehicle. Furthermore, I play the tank with coated optics because as I do not play this tank just like my other tanks without premium consumables whatsoever, I need to get at least an acceptable view range for a tier 9 medium tank. And so with this equipment, I managed to get at least 461 meters of view range, which is necessary on tier 9, on a medium tank on tier 9. My stationary or my camo value in general is not so good, 25 stationary and about 20 when on the move. But my gun handling is pretty nice, 0.3 dispersion and 0.178 aim time. So this now is a relatively fast tank. The top speed is 70 kph, reverse speed 35, plus the port to weight ratio is about 26. So I get a relatively fast tank with a precise gun with quite some snapshot capabilities. So this is the niche and how I want to play this tank. Now crew-wise, the commander has brothers in arms, the view range skills, concealment, and is now working on repairs. The gunner also has brothers in arms, concealment, intuition, because I want to be able to switch between the shell types instantaneously. This is especially important if your tank has a very poor DPM, and so you want to basically penetrate every shot that you take, and sometimes it is simply necessary to have more than 248 millimeters of penetration. The gunner is now also working on repairs, and as far as the driver goes, he also has brothers in arms. He has smooth ride, concealment, and is now working on off-road driving. And yeah, so this is how I was playing this tank for the last couple of games. And let's now actually show you what I could achieve with this tank. Alright, here we are in the first game. And let's first of all take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Prokhorovka in the south with the GSOR 1006. In my opinion, the best gameplay is to go on to the right hand side on top of this hill, but then not to stop here, but to proceed instantaneously to this little ridge line here, because your tank is fast and you can get a first spot onto adversary tanks which are approaching the hill like this, and this gives your heavy tanks in the middle to a chance to take them under fire, reducing the amount of HP, eventually taking them out. And this offers the opportunity for you to then further advance and gain map control on the eastern side of this railroad track. And so this is how I want to play Prokhorovka to help my team to win the game. Alright, so that's what I want to do. Now, in this game, as you can see, I'm playing completely stock. It has been one of my first games in this tank, but nonetheless, I wanted to show you this replay because it really shows what you can achieve with a precise gun and with a decent mobility. So obviously, if you take the lower alpha gun, then your DPM is a tiny touch better. However, what you want to get is you want to get the upgraded gun simply due to its better alpha damage. And obviously, you also want to get the upgraded turret for the upgraded view range. So in this game, I wanted to press to this hill. This is kind of a typical gameplay for me, and if you have a very fast tank, what you can do is you can go to this position and then relatively early on spot for your team so that you can get assisting damage from the middle of the map from your heavy tanks, which are able to basically conduct crossfire onto the hill. Okay, you need to be cautious, however, because adversary tanks are really focused onto this ridgeline and are trying to snapshot you as soon as you get spotted. So let's see. I could spot quite some tanks and give my tank information on where those tanks are spotted and what the gameplay of those players is. And now I really need to stay cautious. I want to drive out on top of the hill and spot those tanks so that the heavy tanks in the middle can take shots, but I do not want to lose any hit points early on in this game. Keep in mind, if you conduct this gameplay, let's say, frequently, then the adversary tanks know what you are doing and you will take some shots. Okay, here go. Okay, we take a shot from the Char Future 4, but he eats some shots from the heavy tanks in the middle. And okay, here go. I can track him, and this is how I get assisting damage. So I think tracking this vehicle was the better choice compared to making damage on my own. Now notice how I didn't take this shot because I simply wanted to make sure that he cannot get a shot onto me, but I wanted to fall out or basically move out so that he still is spotted, so that my tanks in the middle can shoot from the middle and can continue to make damage, and so this tank also could get taken out. All right, so looks like there's no other tank here. Nice, and let's see how it goes. So there are quite some tanks which have not been spotted yet, so it's not time to make an aggressive move. However, I think this will change whenever the T-54 and also the TD have approached my position. So I will simply stay here and wait. The game is relatively close so far. Our gameplay here at the hill was pretty successful so far. However, I have lost quite some HP, and I think I will need my HP later on in the game. Okay, so can I make an aggressive move? I want to do so, but I need the help of the T-54. So let's see how it goes. And yeah, he's playing super defensively despite being full HP, but now he has moved into my position, so I want to be the tank approaching the rest of the enemy team. I have the speed to do so, not the armor but the speed, and this is one strength of this tank. The mobility is on the good side, on the better side of the tier 9 medium tanks, but once again, it's nothing out of the ordinary, and it is not comparable to, for example, the tier 9 French wheeled light tanks or light tanks in general. So I want to go like this because, yep, I knew that the object 257 was still there. Oh, here we go, here, that is, bam. And now, you know what, I need to fall back because I do not want to get another shot, but okay, he misses, and I also miss. Okay, but I think maybe he returns. Maybe I think, yeah, I think I will simply go there again. Obviously, if you play the stock gun with only 240 alpha damage, then it takes a time until you can build up a significant amount of damage. That's just how it is. You know what? I think if I go like this and circle this Shah Future 4, he should be surprised and I should get the first shot opportunity. Let's use those bushes. Does the object 257 spot me? No, he doesn't. I'm not spotted, so now I can flank the Shah Future 4. And basically, am I now spotted? No. Looks like the, yeah, my camo is good enough alongside with the very poor view range of the object 257 in order to not get spotted, and I can take out the Shah Future 4. And now this brings me into a superior position because I can simply move out of cover and then take a shot onto the object 257, and I can fall back into cover instantaneously, so he doesn't even turn his turret to me because he knows that he has no chance whatsoever. So a very superior position now for me in this game. Here you go, I can take him out. Excellent. So a very decent result so far, but the game is not yet over, and so let's see how much damage I can make in this game. Now we have gained map control. This is what you want to see on this map, and now here comes the solution of how to push into the adversary base and to exploit map control and exploit this this position. So you want to move out, but you always want to, okay, here you go. Oh, that was not so good. I got a shot from the T-13 and my intent was to move out onto the track, so onto the top of this little railway track behind this little wreck, so not to get a shot from the A or B1 position. But unfortunately, either I did a bad job and moved slightly left to it so that the the T-103 could actually take a shot onto me, or my tank is simply too big, too tall, so that I actually took damage. Okay, but we are lucky, so we are still in the game, and now I need to make an even more cautious gameplay. But now my goal is obviously to be the first tank to arrive at the adversary position. Notice how I use this bush in order to not get spotted, at least not instantaneously, when I approach the adversary position. I'm not spotted, so what I want to do is now I want to cross this next ridgeline, and here once again use the bush in order to not get spotted instantaneously. Okay, unfortunately this is not a penetration shot. Fortunately I bounced the shot of the Carnarvon, and so yeah, I could make some damage. Unfortunately the Carnarvon can take me out, but in the end I managed to achieve more than 2k damage plus more than 7k combined in the stock configuration. And I think this game showed, despite playing this tank in a stock configuration, showed what you can achieve with speed and a very precise gun. So those are the strengths of this tank, and something that you should exploit. Now, of course, I have to mention that not every map is as open as this map, and so the downside of this tank is that it is not very flexible. Like if you play, let's say on Himmelsdorf in an AMX-30, you can make use of your DPM in a city map, but this tank does not have any DPM, and so it is not a flexible tank, and it is good on open maps, but it has drawbacks and deficiencies if you don't enter such a game. Alright, second game in the GSOR. This time we spawn on Glacier, and let's now take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Glacier in the south with the GSOR 1006. In my opinion, the best option is to go into the middle and to help your team to win this hill, because from this hill here you can create crossfire towards adversary heavy tanks, so you can basically be the decisive factor for your heavy tanks to win the heavy flank and this northern portion of the map. Now the problem is that you are susceptible to crossfire once you're crossing like this, so I want to go here, play defensively, maybe reduce the amount of HP of the adversary light tanks pushing the hill, and then see when the chance or the time has come to basically relocate to the top of the hill, to then once again help out my heavy tanks on the heavy flank, but then also from this position here take those tanks here plus those tanks under fire. And this basically, if you have won this portion right here, plus if you have send those tanks back into the garage, then you basically created map control, and the adversary tanks only have, let's say, the eastern portion of the map like this, and this helps your team to finally win the game. Alright, as you might know, my standard gameplay on this map is I do not want to allow the adversary tanks to push on top of the hill. Now as the adversary, okay, you do please let me push to the left hand side, sorry. As the adversary light tank is the HWK-30, and as there is the Saladin in the game, I am preloading an HE shell because I want to be able to take a shot onto those tanks. Okay, the adversary light tank does not make a risky gameplay and stops just in front of the hill, which is good because now our light tank has managed to go on top of the hill. So I certainly want to load the standard shell. Let me see how it goes. So now I also want to go on top of the hill, but I need to get rid of the Patriot and also of the HWK-30. So what can I do? I think I will simply wait until there is a chance of doing so, and maybe I can take one shot from the Patriot, because he only has 240 alpha damage, and I think receiving 240 alpha damage but then managing to go on top of the hill is a good trade. Maybe he falls back, so let me see. Here we go. Maybe if the UDAS 1516 takes a shot, then he falls back. Okay, he's now falling back. He's turning his turret, and you know what? Okay, this thing spots me, so I want to fall back. Maybe go. Okay, I don't know what the UDAS 1516 is doing there. Okay, the HWK is leaving the scenery. The Patriot is falling back. Excellent. This is the chance that I was looking for, and now I want to go on top of the hill. Now if you proceed on top of the hill, you always have to proceed at the side, either from this spawn on the right hand side or from the other spawn on the left hand side, so that the adversary tanks at the position where the T-54 is located cannot take a shot onto you. So here you go. Nice. And now I can simply exploit the hill, but keep in mind, you want to play cautiously and you do not want to lose HP when you are on top of the hill. So you go, bam, take out the object 430. This is where this tank does have an advantage, because your aim time is slower compared to, or is less, I should say, compared to other tanks. So you need to spend a shorter period of time in order to aim in your shot. And so this gives you an advantage over the other medium tanks in the game. And so the snapshot capability, the precise gun plus the mobility, this is the advantage of this tank. And so this is why I used the equipment that I talked about in order to exploit those strength. Now the big weakness of this tank is its poor spotting ability. And At first I played this tank with a commander's vision system. I also tried out an exhaust system in order to increase the spotting abilities and in order to play this tank more as a light medium hybrid, like for example the tier 7 Scheme Alpha tank. But in my opinion, what I found out is this tank is not suited to play this kind of niche, and so I got rid of this. I took the equipment that I showed you and I concentrated on being a fast tank with a good gun handling, with good sniping capabilities, with good snapshot capabilities, and try to make this tank work despite its horrendous DPM. Okay, so you go, take another shot, nice, and slowly but surely we are increasing our damage. Of course, as you can see, if you play this tank with the upgraded gun, which has 390 alpha damage, then you can build up damage much quicker than with the 240 alpha gun. The problem of this tank is its low DPM, and it's really a hindrance of this tank compared to other tier 9 medium tanks, which have a substantial higher DPM. But that's just how it is. So will this tank back off and make another mistake and eat some shots? No, I do not think so. Okay, so you know what? I think this heavy lane is one. Maybe we can go down here. You know what? Let's do it. Okay, my engine, that's pretty stupid. No, okay. But in what, I want to cross here and get a shot onto this tank from the rear and help my heavy tanks to finally win this heavy flank. Okay, I didn't even kill this tank. Super bad, but maybe this tank. Here we go. An additional 307 alpha damage and now it is time to rush into the remaining adversary tanks. So far 3.1k or 3.2k damage, 700 assisting damage, so 3.9k combined, which is a decent result in this tank. And now let's see, can we get a shot onto this tank? Okay, he's pre-aiming my position. Okay. Okay, and this is now not too good. As you can see, or as I showed you, if your tracks get damaged, then your speed is reduced significantly. Can I get one more shot onto the Scorpion? Nice. This is a very fine shot. So about 3.6k damage plus 700 assisting damage. So overall about 4.3k damage, and I think this is a decent result in this tank. Okay, third and last game in the GSOR 1006-7. We are spawning on mines, and let's take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Malinovka in the north with the GSOR 1006, you have several options. In my opinion, the best one is to go into the middle and to support your team in winning the hill, because the hill is the strategic position. But because this tank has a lackluster DPM and because this tank has no armor whatsoever, I like to play defensively, go to this position and then basically try to get crossfire onto enemy tanks which are approaching the hill, so to reduce the hit points of those tanks and in order to help my team to basically then win the hill. Alright, we are spawning in a tier 10 matchup now. Take a look at the composition. There's no light tank in the game. We have two Badgets 25T in our team, and I think they will rush the hill. So I want to go to this position and help them to reduce the hit points of the adversary tanks so that they can then finish them off and then further on win the hill. Now notice how bad my DPM is and how long I need to reload for my gun. Now this is actually a pretty decent example. In every other medium tank, especially in a tank like the AMX-30, I would have had the chance of taking a second shot onto those tanks rushing the hill, but not in this tank, not with this crappy DPM. Okay, so our team has managed to win the hill. There's even the Minotauro and the 60 TP. So our heavy tank and our tank destroyer, heavily armored tank destroyer I should say, winning the hill. And so now it is time to move out. Thank you, Mr. Object 140. And to also go on top of the hill in order to exploit it. 4-0, so the game is on the winning side. However, I've seen quite some games in which my team was unable to basically exploit the hill. Here you go. Nice. Another 381 damage. Can we get some more damage onto this tank? Here you go. Yeah, it takes so long. It takes forever until the gun is reloaded. Now, of course, you can play this tank with premium consumables. Then you might get rid of coated optics and then you can use a gun rammer. But in my opinion, I do not want to play tanks with the premium consumables whatsoever. And so this is not an option for me. And so the reload time is way too high for me in this tank. Oh, that was a bad trade. I should have fallen back into cover. I thought I could take a shot onto the Jagdpanzer E100, but unfortunately I bounced because I used standard ammunition. Plus, oh wow, plus he took a shot onto me. So yeah, two very bad shots. And now I only have about 300 HP remaining, so I really need to watch out and basically change my gameplay and change my game plan in this game. So the question is, how can we make use of the hill? You know what? Let's go here and proceed down here and help my team, help the Badger 25T to get shots onto those tanks, the Cobra and also the T110E4. Now I need to play cautiously because I am one-shottable for all those tanks. At least if the Cobra high rolls with its standard ammunition. So I want to go here and let's see. Now the good thing about this tank is you have a good acceleration, at least compared to other medium tanks, due to your pretty good power to weight ratio. Plus your reverse speed is relatively high. So instead of turning around your tank, which is horrible, as you can see, the tank traverse is horrible. So what you can do is you can drive into cover and then reverse, simply use your reverse speed in order to fall back. And this can be done relatively quickly due to your good reverse speed. And so that's another strength that you can exploit in this tank. So never turn around your tank, simply go into a bush forward or rearward and then exit the bush again, rearward or forward. Okay, so what can we do? The Badger 25T has played too aggressively and has been taken out. So it's now on to us in order to clear this flank. As you can see, our team is unable to exploit the hill, and the game is still relatively close. Here you go. So you know what? I will use this building right here plus the bush in order to outspot the Cobra, and then once this tank is spotted, you go, I can take a shot. Here you go, nice. As you can see, the gun handling is on the above average side. It is all in all nothing too crazy, and due to this tank not having a significant advantage, so for example not being an extraordinarily good spotter, I think that the gun handling could actually be a tiny touch better to really set this tank apart from the other medium tanks. But all in all, I have to say the gun handling is on the good side. It is slightly above average, but unfortunately this tank has so many drawbacks. It is tier for tier better than the tier A tank. I mean, I think by far, but it is nothing out of the ordinary, and I would go so far to say that I would choose any other tier 9 medium tank over this tank, because all the other tanks that I showed you in the comparison are better in one or the other regard. So if you want to have a tank with some armor that you can play hull down, then pick the Centurion 7-1. If you want to have a tank with a good precise gun with high alpha damage, then take the Leopard PTA, because with 420 alpha you can simply stack up damage more quickly than in this tank, plus you have a much better DPM. If you want to have a very versatile tank which has good spotting abilities, take either the MX30 or the Char Future 4. So yeah, that's simply how it is. Okay. Can we get a shot on the T110E4? So, okay, the Cobra is reversing to the other side. 6-6. The game is relatively close. And yeah, one thing I should mention as well. I talked about the horrific DPM of this tank. Now, if there is a fast game, and this happens quite often in World of Tanks nowadays, then this tank really is lackluster, because the bad DPM holds this tank back. Now, in such a game, which is pretty slow, this is not too much of a problem, as you can see. Plus, your effective DPM is slightly higher compared to, or I mean, I should say the difference of your effective DPM and the effective DPM of other tanks is not too high, simply because you, with this precise gun handling, will make more shots than, for example, compared to a AMX 30B player. But yeah, nonetheless, it is lackluster, and that's something you have to live with if you play this tank. So once again, in my opinion, this is one of the weaker tier 9 medium tanks, and nothing out of the ordinary. And so it is, yeah, maybe on the better side of the whole tech tree, but nothing you have to really care about, and nothing you should start grinding towards. Okay, so we made 3,100 damage because we got one shot here, another shot there, so we slowly pick up our damage. And now let me see whether we can take out the Cobra. Maybe if this player reverses into me, but I think he now selects to go to the other side. The GSOR is also making pressure, and now I should be spotted. No, I'm not. So maybe I can surprise the T110E4 and get some more damage into this tank. Or maybe first of all into this tank. Nice. Another decent snapshot. So I think my equipment really pays off in such a situation. And so let's see, 3.5k damage. Now I must not make any further mistake, because I am one-shottable. The T110E4 is turning his turret towards me, and so I cannot fall out of cover in this situation. I need to wait until he's spotted, because I do not want to risk getting taken out. So here you go. Cobra is taken out. Nice. And you know what? I can maybe reverse to the other side, to somewhere here. But no, I cannot get a shot onto this position. So you know what? Okay, here you go. The Object 140 is spotting the T110E4. Nice. This gives me the chance of getting another shot onto this tank. And you know what? Let's play more aggressively. Let's push forward and let's try to take him out. Now I shot quite an amount of premium ammunition in this game, but that's just how it is if you want to be competitive in this tank. Okay, here you go. Yeah, perfect. All right, so yeah, in the end we make 4.3k damage, simply due to the fact that this game was relatively slow. So this compensated for the bad DPM of this tank. Overall, in my opinion, this tank is on the below average side of all the tier 9 tanks. The only good thing about this tank is its mobility plus its its gun handling, however, nothing out of the ordinary. The biggest advantage that this tank can offer is the matchmaking on tier 9. And this is a very poor conclusion because this tank has nothing out of the ordinary. It's simply the fact that tier 9 matchmaking is so great, and even in a bad tier 9 tank, you have a distinct advantage over tier 8 and especially over tier 7 tanks. So this is what makes this tank competitive. Besides this, in my opinion, most of the, or I should say all of the other tier 9 tanks are better compared to this tank. Alright guys, that was it for today with the video about the new tier 9 British wheeled medium tank, the GSOR 1006. Do you like this tank? Do you like the new British wheeled tech tree line? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I see you next time in another World of Tanks video.